Hi. As we are going into the time before the solstice, I want to talk a little bit about the spirits of sort of around the place around the house and then outside of the house, and how that relates a little bit to light and dark and to this time, this season that we're moving into. So, in the Scandinavian traditions, some of this is called Innengard and Utengard. And Innengard is like your home, maybe your yard, like anything that could be surrounded by a fence. And then the other is basically the wilderness. You know, once you walk out into the world of the wilderness, where the wild things are. And in the Andean traditions, this is this outside, like wild place is called Salka. And these energies are really, really healthy and very important. It's important to connect with the power of wild, undomesticated nature and to bring that in. But this is also a world that is usually explored in daylight because it's thought of that the wilderness is a little easier to navigate during the day, and that at night it becomes more complicated. Not necessarily bad, just complicated. So the world of our homes is a world that, depending on whether you work outside the home or not, we all have in common being there usually at night. And so the home and those spirits are ones that get fed during this time of the year. It's not uncommon to put out little offerings for various types of home spirits or land spirits that are in your yard or at a special tree in your yard or things like that. That's done during this time of year. And the reason why is because usually around the time of the winter solstice, the weather isn't so great. You're done with all the farming chores, and now this is a time of like being inside with people that you care about or with yourself and spending time drinking in the inner life and getting ready to emerge again in the spring. So the spirits that are related to this are on the one side the home spirits, which in Norway would be called like the Nissa or the Tomta in other parts of Scandinavia. And then you relate those to the ones outside the house, which would be like trolls, the Huldefolk, things like that. And the way that they're interacted with is that during this time of year, besides leaving offerings, we also do different things to like remember our relationship to all of life. And so these might be listening to creation stories. It's very common to listen to like long epic poems were done at this time of year, or even just like listening to what we do, which is like listening to favorite TV shows or things like that. You know, these are ways of reminding us to come back into ourselves. And so at this time of year, there's also other spirits, and these are the ones outside. So along with the spirits that have been helpful to the garden or helpful to the agricultural communities, or the ones that help the trees and the fish to and the wild game to run so that we have food that way, there are also intense spirits that basically run wild during the winter. And in the Germanic traditions, this was called the wild hunt. And it was also often led by deity, male or female, who had a really strong connection to the afterlife. And so this deity would collect up all the beings that had died at the end of the harvest season, including the plants that died, so that they could give us their sustenance, and guide this into the lower world, where it would be reborn again in the spring. And, or at least this is my way of seeing it. And basically, these are very wild and intense spirits. So we sort of do two things to interact with that. The first thing is to listen to and remember our creation stories and other teaching stories, and to share that in a communal way with other people. The other approach is to concentrate very intensely on divination. Now, this can be divination that's done alone, or a specialist can come in and do a ritual divination for a bunch of people. Like you often hear about the Seid women or the Seid workers coming in at this time of year to do their prophecies for the coming year, or to fix problems that were happening. Or you hear about individuals doing divinations at this time of year, taking omens, that kind of thing. So why are they doing this? Because these women are imbued with the power of darkness. Since this is like the dark half of the year, the time when the sun is up for less time, they have the ability to go in to the other world where it's dark, and to retrieve information and to bring this back out. This does not mean that women are the only ones who practice this. It was practiced by all genders. It's just that women spirits in the Scandinavian traditions were the ones that were associated with this. And although there were male spirits also, but these women spirits were associated with this type of this time of year. So you have the other part of this, which is like the outdoorsy part of it, is mask wearing. So you have a lot of parades where people dress up in crazy animal masks, kind of like Krampus and things like that, and run around basically blessing the land and blessing the earth, and kind of giving the unhappy spirits a place to go so that they can be released. So that it's sort of like doing a little bit of the Wild Hunt's work for it. At the same time, you have these seers who are able to tap into some of this energy, and can either do a journey where they also help release these spirits, or go into the other world and dialogue with ancestors for like information about how to create harmony. So all these things are sort of happening at this time of year. And it's meant to be a way to release the power of the agricultural year and let it be quiet for a while and develop and strengthen so that it can reemerge in the spring, so we can have more food, more life on the earth, more abundance in all ways, health and strength. And it's also to renew the connection inside the home with our house spirits and with the ancestors, who are frequently associated with like the stove or like a central fire, or in my house, we just keep a candle going in the middle of the kitchen, which is where we eat. And we just keep that going until Candlemas in February. So like all these things are just really simple ways to work with this time of year. But it's no accident that we listen to our favorite stories, light our candles, and take omens in whatever way it's comfortable for you. This is the time of year to be doing this. And if you feel called to put on a mask, or participate in a wild hunt journey or a Krampus run or any of that, this is the time to be doing it. And you're actually helping to do the earth a favor. There are different festivals at different times of year for different traditions, but this is sort of a Northern European way of interacting with it. In some cultures, this is a time of year when they're welcoming, like the Hopis would be welcoming the some of the Kachinas back around this time of year. So, every tradition is a little different, but there's this idea that this is the time when big communal festivals start happening because people are not needed out in the fields and they need to renew their agreements with the earth and with each other and with the spirits in order to keep all of this going. So when there isn't harmony in the earth or with each other, one of the ways we can restore our harmony is to go back into ourselves, into our ability to go within, into our ability to connect with other people in these sort of wild, like masked party things, and remembering the old stories. All these things help, and they're very powerful. So many blessings.